Hi, everybody. I'm Dan Wells. I write horror, fantasy, and science fiction, and I talk about games on the internet. Today, I want to talk about the Legend of the Five Rings beginner game. This is a boxed set that includes a bunch of different stuff designed to get your group started with the game, teach you how to play, and kind of teach you how this new edition of the game works. I say new, it's like 2 years old now. But anyway, it comes with a bunch of different stuff in it. And because of that, I don't have a PDF. I've just got the physical thing with all of this neat stuff in it. So, first of all, there is the rule book, and it says, read this last, which doesn't make a ton of sense, but it does in practice. Basically, you've got a whole bunch of different things here in the book, and it starts with a thing that says, read this first. This is just a little kind of 2-page fold out that kind of says, this is what you do, this is how this works, and it's designed, it's not kidding about beginner game. This is not only teaching you how Legend of the Five Rings 5th edition works, this is teaching you how role-playing games works. It comes with an example of play, a little thing about how to use the maps and tokens, a little kind of setup of the adventure that you're about to go through, this sample beginner adventure. And then you get to this thing that says, whoa, the adventure book, read this second. This is designed to teach you the rules as they come up during play, which is why the rule book is read this last. You go through and you actually learn the game by playing it. A lot of starters do this. A lot of starters claim to do this. This one leans into it so much more than most. And so this is where we're going to talk about how. So first of all, what else does this thing have? Well, it has a set of the dice. This edition of Legend of the Five Rings uses proprietary dice. I don't have them here to show off, but this is where I got them. This is where most people get them. They're in my review of the core game, and you can look at that. It comes with a great big fold-out map, double-sided. So here's all of Rokugan, and then on the back side there's the village of Tsuma, which is where the starter adventure takes place, and then there's also a castle, the Emerald Champion. So this is what I love, the art design of this new edition. I love the way their maps look. I mean, they're just really kind of pretty and beautiful. This is a really nice one to have. What else is in this book? I will tell you. There are 4 character folios. There's this Yoshi, the tattooed monk of the Dragon Clan, Doji Ren, who is a courtier of the Crane Clan, Isawa Aki, a Shugenja of the Phoenix Clan, and then, why have we not had any samurai yet? Right here, Akodo Masako, a Bushi of the Lion Clan. These are all starter characters, and they're several different pages. And remember, this game is trying so hard to teach you the rules as you play. We start with kind of a basic, who's your character, what do they want, what is their backstory, that all makes sense. Then we get this 2-page spread of all the character stats, including some super handy references. What do the dice mean at the bottom? Well, here is a full description of every dice face and what to do when it comes up. Here is the conflict stances, which is one of the weird parts of the game. Most character sheets include that. What do the approaches do? How to perform a check? What do you do on your turn? All of that kind of thing. What do all the different things, what does endurance mean? How do critical strikes work? What is focus and vigilance and honor and glory? Full reference included on the character sheet, which is really neat. But it gets better than that, okay? Because this game is also designed to introduce you to the rules slowly and only give you new rules as they come up during play. So, as you're going through the adventure book, you hit a point that says interlude. You've gone through 3 or 4 scenes at this point. You had a chance to use your skills. You've had a chance to get into a fight, and then you pause for an interlude. And it says, I'm going to teach you now some new things. And then you flip the page over. Boom! There is a new version of your character sheet with different reference information on it. You've already learned the super basic stuff. You've already learned all, what the dice faces are, and so the new page doesn't tell you all that. It uses the space for other things. Instead, it's going to say, here's how to spend experience points. It adds void points and tells you how to spend those. It gives you a real sword instead of the training sword because the next scene is going to require one. Things like that. It even gives you new abilities that you can buy with the new experience points that it just taught you how to use. This is such an interesting way to build a beginner game. It is overall, I think, very effective and very helpful to learn in this way. It is also fits right in with 5th edition L5R's kind of obsession with beautiful complication. They want to make things as overt, as regimented as they can, which is why there's like 4,000 very specific ways to spend opportunity. Your group may respond well to this kind of game structure, and it may not. I suspect that if you are a beginner and you're trying to learn what is a relatively complicated game system, this is going to be really helpful to you. If you are an old school gamer and you've been doing this for a while and you know how everything works, a lot of these features might just feel like they're getting in the way. It all depends on your group, and I think you and your group know which category you fall into without me having to tell you. That said, even if you think this might be onerous to go through, if you don't need all the tutorial level hand-holding, the beginner game might still be worth picking up, if only for the gorgeous map that I showed off, the dice that I showed off. There's this really neat token set. All of the adventures in 5th edition come with tokens. I haven't punched any of these out. You can see here it's got, these are the 4 kind of character sheets that come with it, and then a bunch of other stuff. In fact, most of these things don't even show up in the adventure. Is there like a giant size Oni or whatever in this adventure? Spoiler warning, no, there's not. They're just trying to give you a bunch of tokens that they think will be valuable to you as you tell a bunch of new stories with these new characters that you've gotten. Let's talk really quick before we're done about the adventure itself. Okay? The adventure, does it really have a name? I don't know if it really has a name. Certainly not on the thing. Welcome to Tsuma. This is a Topaz Champion tournament, and that's kind of a tried and true Legend of the Five Rings tradition. At least when I started in 4th edition, that was the go-to starting scenario, was a Topaz Champion tournament. These championship tournaments are really great, I think, as a way of introducing people to not only the game, but the culture of Rokugan. If you've never played in Rokugan before, it can be very handy to see right off the bat, oh, calligraphy and flower arranging and poetry, like those are actual valuable skills, culturally speaking. And telling a story in Rokugan is not going to be just running around, chopping things up with a katana. You're going to spend a lot of time talking to people. You are going to have to, at some point, do a tea ceremony, and how well you do that tea ceremony is going to make or break you. And there are these cultural things that are important. And so the structure of something like a Topaz Champion tournament allows you to learn, bit by bit how the skills work, how does combat work, we're getting to get into a duel, how does that work, things like that. And then on top of that, there's all of these neat little skills and cultural bits that are valuable to you. This structure in this adventure is complicated by the fact that there's a whole story going on underneath the surface. And basically, one of the people in the Topaz Championship has a relationship to one of the other people in Topaz Championship. I mean, there's a lot of behind the scenes, under the hood politics going on. And the characters get roped in by a ghost to, ensure not that they're going to cheat in the tournament, but that they're going to protect one of the members, one of the people who is in the tournament. And I don't know. The most interesting part to me of this story is its ending. You get to a point where you've dealt with one of the bad guys, and then the very next section says, this is a great place to end the adventure. No, it is not. That is a genuinely terrible place to end the adventure, because nothing has been wrapped up yet. And some of the things can be wrapped up, and some of the things, very overtly, cannot be. I'm trying to figure out how spoilery I can get. But basically, that relationship that I spoke of earlier, I don't think it's too much of a spoiler to say that the ghost, when he comes to you in the first place, clearly wants to keep that relationship secret while also protecting the person. And exposing that secret would ruin a lot of people's lives. And so that secret doesn't really go anywhere. And I find that to be the most culturally compelling aspect of this story, because it's a very Rokugani thing that you have to protect everybody's honor, protect everybody's reputation, make sure that the guy stays safe, but don't actually come out and expose what's going on, because that's not what this is about. And that will be a valuable lesson, I think, for players to learn as they get into Rokugan. And they'll get to the end and be like, wait, but there was never a reconciliation. There was never, this was never revealed. This was never exposed. What are we supposed to do? And that's a great chance to say, well, what would happen? Who would benefit from that? How would that make people's lives better? How would that make people's lives worse? Talk about what the expectations are of the culture, talk about the social repercussions of the different kind of relationships. And so it is a good introduction to Rokugan in that sense, and I find that really interesting. Anyway, I should stop talking about this because it eventually is going to expose too much. So anyway, the beginner's game for Legend of the Five Rings, 5th edition, is overall, I think, a pretty neat thing. I love it for the dice and the map. If nothing else, I love it for the art, the characters, and the storyline, and the way that storyline is told will work for some groups and they will not work for other groups. And I hope that based on this review, you will know which category your playgroup falls into. So, regardless of whether this beginner game is right for you, maybe you're not a beginner, the game itself, Legend of the Five Rings 5th edition, is wonderful. And it plays in a way that very few other games do. It provides an experience that most games can't. So I encourage you to pick it up, try it out. This starter set is a great way to do that. And if you are experienced game master with experienced players, you can more or less just gloss over all the hand-holding, ignore it, throw it out, and still tell a fantastic story using all of these tools. So anyway, you're awesome. Thanks for watching this. I look forward to reviewing yet another game for you tomorrow. Goodbye.